So this odds array problem's a little bit trickier than the first three self-checks. Thought I'd take a minute and help you with the solution to it. Um, First thing I'd want to do is create an array named odds. So using the notation with brackets, that's going to give me an array named odds that can hold integers. And we also want to set it up so that it holds the correct number of integers. And this is a little tricky because how many integers do we actually want it to hold? So do a little bit of math here. The biggest odd number we would encounter is 37. The smallest odd number we would encounter is -5, right, between -6 and 38. That gives you a span of 42 numbers, but we're only looking for odd numbers, right? So cut that in half, puts you at 21. However, it's a little tricky. Remember, this is that one of those inclusive, exclusive things. There's one extra number here because this is an inclusive set we're talking about. So we've got the -5 and we've got the 37. So ultimately, you're looking at 22 numbers are going to go into this array. Okay. So right here, 22. That's going to give me a spot to put a -5 in there, -3 and -1, all the way up to 31, 33, 35, 37. If you don't believe it's 22, you can write them out on paper, count it, you'll see how it works, okay? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a for loop, and there's various ways that we could do this. We could make a for loop that goes across those 22 indexes, um, or we could make a for loop that goes from -5 to 37. Or you could even make it go from -6 to 38 and use an if statement to only deal with odds. There's a lot of different things we could do. So I'm going to go ahead and set mine up so that it starts with a -5. That's the first value that I'm going to want to put into this array. And I'm going to let it run up to and include 37. Okay. And I'm going to have mine count by twos. That way I don't need to include any type of an if statement. My loop is only going to produce odd numbers, like numbers that I actually want to go into the array. Now there's still one trick left to this problem. How am I going to figure out like the index that these numbers go into? So I've got this great loop that's producing the actual numbers that I want to go into the odds array. And that's where this value is, this I value, right? But like the first number in goes to index 0, the second number goes to index 1, the third number goes to index 2. That's an additional variable here. I definitely don't want to nest a loop. That would give me like this double dimension, now I'm going to have like an exponential number of iterations to the loop. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate variable called index and start it at 0. Like I mentioned, I want the first index to be 0, right? And I want the additional indexes to be 1, 2, and so on. So I'll use this index variable here, and I'll have to progress this variable on my own. The loop isn't doing it for me, so I'll just embed it in myself. And it looks like it's working. Now, like I said, an alternative approach you could take if you wanted to try it is, you could make this loop run from 0 just shy of 22. You could even put like odds.length here if you wanted, which is 22. And now that would create kind of a role reversal. That means you're going to have the I value given to you here. Okay, so like now the loop's role is producing those indexes, but that means you're going to have some sort of value producer here. And one way to do that would be like start this at -5. Okay, and then to produce only odd values, I would let value increment by 2. In the end, I'm doing the same thing. I've just kind of flipped the roles of what my loop's doing and what my additional variable is doing as well. By the way, this isn't really taught in terms of like the College Board curriculum, but you can actually have like multiple values created here. So like I could actually make both of these variables in the loop right here. Um, and then I can actually have like a second increment statement here that says like value plus equals 2. Um, that's not like a real common way of coding. And you would never see that on like a multiple choice question on an AP test or something. But technically, you can do things like that as well.